All right, we are set and ready to go. I am Becky A. Davis, also known as the Chief Bosspreneur, and I am excited to come to you to be able to share some information with you. Cheryl Woods was our speaker. We were going to talk about Speak Your Way to a Six-Figure Business. This is a webinar that is sponsored by the Coca-Cola Company as a part of their 5 by 20 program. And that 5 by 20 program is to help 5 million women entrepreneurs by the year 2020. And to date, based on the last information I had, there has been almost 2.5 million women that have been touched globally by this initiative. And then the initiative is really to be able to enable and empower women as they build and grow their businesses. And I'm excited to be in partnership with Coca-Cola as a part of this program to be able to bring educational materials to women entrepreneurs. So thank you for everyone who registered and jumped in to be able to learn some information for tonight. And what we were actually, the goal tonight was to really talk about speaking. So we had over 200 people to register for this webinar, which tells me a lot of people were interested in speaking and taking their business to the next level. One of the things that has been a big part of my business and my brand is speaking. When I first started my business, for those of you who do not know, when I first started my business, while I was working in corporate America, the goal was to start a business as a speaker. I had been doing some things on the side for some years and had built up enough courage inside of corporate America, doing training and workshops inside of corporate America. It really helped me to hone my skill set and decided I need to be able to do this for myself. But as I started to learn inside while I was still in corporate America about starting a business, my business kind of shifted. Speaking was going to be the platform that I used to grow my brand through leadership development, because I had worked in corporate America for over 20 years in leadership roles. So I managed teams of individuals, and when I left the organization, I had was a regional vice president responsible for over 200 plus store locations and up to 80 million in sales revenue. So I knew how to run teams. I knew how to teach leaders how to be better leaders. So I was going to start, the foundation of my business was going to be through leadership, but I was going to grow my business through speaking. And I wanted to be able to make an impact in the world. So when I first started my business, I spoke everywhere I could, any place that I could for free. I didn't care. I needed to hone the skill. I needed to hone the craft. I needed to know what my message was going to be about. And I had been working on crafting my message. The first message that I had put together was about the 5 steps to a transformative leadership. And so my strategy, and it's still a part of my strategy today. Speaking opens a ton of doors for me and has helped me to create, revenue within my organization well over 6 figures. And so we can talk about that. We're going to talk about that. I actually teach a class that's called Drop the Mic. It's a speaker certification class. So I'm going to just share some of the things that I teach speakers, and some things to do, what to do, how to do some of those things now. So there's a lot of different things when you're thinking about being a speaker. First of all, you need to know exactly what you're going to talk about. And whatever it is, it needs to be something that resonates with you, something that's important to you. Here's what I find a lot of people say is that, I'm not afraid to speak in front of audiences, and I don't have a problem standing up and talking to people. And so they say, I want to be a speaker. But a speaker is not about not being afraid to stand up, because we know that the second thing before death is speaking. People are like, I am deathly afraid to speak. But then there's so many people who say, I don't have a problem, standing up, talking to people. There's a difference between talking to people and being a speaker to people. There's two different outcomes, because there's a lot of people who call themselves speakers that stand up and they talk and they ramble and they share a whole lot of stuff. There's no organization to it. They're kind of all over the place, but they're speakers. They identify themselves, so they call themselves speakers. But what a real speaker is someone who is so focused on the audience and what they get, what they're going to walk away, that you literally come up with your strategy and the things that you are going to share as a part of your presentation. That's thought out well in advance. You've had some thoughts, spend some time in thinking about how will you impact your audience, how will you make a difference in the life of those that are listening to you. What will you give them to walk away with that will change them or cause them to take an action that creates change for their life? That's what a speaker is not being comfortable enough to stand up and talk in front of people. That's a talker. So a lot of people, am I a speaker? And when I teach this in class, it's like, so are you a speaker or a talker? After we really kind of defined it, it's like, oh, I've probably been a talker, because they have not thought through, strategized specifically the impact that they're going to have on the people that are there. So let's talk about some of the things about speaking. So first of all, I want to talk to you about 4 Ds to really being able to speak with excellence. First, you have to have the desire, an intense burning desire to really be able to speak well and make an impact. Not just a desire to get behind a mic and talk in front of people, but a passion, burning desire to speak well and change a life. If your desire is strong enough, to achieve speaking mastery will come along aside it, because then you will invest the time in learning how to speak well. The second D of excellent speaking is the decision. You must make a decision that you're going to make the effort, take the time, overcome any obstacles, and do whatever it takes to become excellent. You have to make that decision, because there are some people that have a natural gift of being able to speak. But anyone that really wants to make an impact, you take that natural gift and you learn about it. You go through and you gain more knowledge. You improve that skill set. You practice. So you have to make the decision that I don't want to just speak. I don't want to just speak well. I really want to impact lives. So I am going to make the decision to do something different than what I've done before as a speaker. And then speaking requires discipline. It requires a lot of discipline, because you must have the discipline to plan, to prepare, to deliver your talks, your presentations over and over and over and over and over again until you've achieved mastery. So there's no shortcuts as a part of this. So being able to have the discipline, I have had a lot of speaker clients that I've listened to, and I'll go to one of their events where they are speaking, and the discipline, I can always tell when you practice. I can tell when you practice, because one of the things from one of the people that was a mentor for me as a speaker was Patricia Fripp. Patricia Fripp was a part of the National Speakers Association, and the first time I went to the National Speakers Association and heard her speak, I was just in awe. The first time I attended a class where she taught, I was taking notes like I was crazy. But one of the things that she said, the minute you stand on the stage, it's not time for practice. That's the delivery of all the practice that you've done before. Pretty much just like with a person who is going to the Olympics. You don't practice once you're at the games. All of the practice have gotten you to the games. Now you just do what you've done in your mind and practice over and over and over again. It's now the live event. That's exactly what speaking is. It's the live event to actually take you to the place where you need to do what you need to do. You have to be disciplined. It's not just about, I want to get out there and I want to make an impact. How disciplined are you? And then the determination. having the determination to persist despite how hard it is, despite not getting all the accolades that you think you should have in the process. It is the determination to make sure that you want to be the best that you can be. Now, let me say this. In the Q&A, there's a Q&A. If you, on the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A. So as questions come up around speaking, pop those questions in there, because we're going to make sure we answer those questions before we leave. But every goal of a speaker is to do, this is something that I learned, and it stayed with me as I was learning to improve my speaking. The goal of a speaker is to be remembered and repeated. To be remembered and repeated. To be remembered because the information that you shared made such an impact that years from now, people will say, I went to this event and this lady was speaking. I'll never forget the story she told. I'll never forget the information she shared. That is when you're remembered. And then when they say what you said, repeating what you say, that's the goal of speakers when they're repeating. I remember I did a speaking engagement, and there are different times as a speaker that I want people to be a part of the conversation with me throughout the process, and I want to keep them engaged in our process. So one of the things that I did was I did this famous royal wave. Because I was talking about royalty. And so throughout the presentation, I stop and do the royal wave. And before the end of that conference, we had 3 days left. Every time I passed by someone, guess what they were doing? The royal wave. Being able to be remembered and repeated. What are some of the things that you say over and over and over again? I do a presentation where I'm always saying that you have to boss up. It's time for you to boss up. I've said so much. I get to the point to say it and I don't say it, and the audience says it for me. And so they're repeating what they heard. And the goal of speakers is really to be able to make such an impact that you are being remembered and people are repeating what you say. So you have to really be able to make an impact when you're talking about speaking and changing the lives of other people. But let me just walk you through the 7 powerful steps of a presentation. Everybody needs to know these steps of a powerful presentation, and they're all P's. 7 powerful steps of the presentation. First is preparation. 90% of the success of any speaker and presenter will be determined by the preparation that they do and how well they prepare for a speaking event. So what is your preparation? When you want to be a speaker, what's the preparation that you do for to be a speaker? What is it that you do? You spend your time once you write your presentation? Do you spend your time and practice your presentation? One of the things that probably drives me crazy is for a speaker to write their presentation, stand up behind a podium, and read it to me. How many of y'all like somebody reading the whole presentation to you? I don't. I don't. And so that means you've wrote it out. You've thought through what you wanted to say, but you didn't take the time to practice it enough to remember the presentation, to remember part of it, to remember all of it. Yeah, Alicia, you don't like nobody reading something to you either. It is critical that when people are reading, it just drives me crazy. So preparation is a big part of your presentation. Ernest Hemingway wrote, "You must know 10 words for every word that you write. The reader will know that this is not a true thing. In speaking, however, you must read and research 100 words for every word you speak, or the listener will know that you are speaking off the top of your head. The listener will immediately sense that your lack and depth of knowledge in your subject unless you are prepared, not just prepared, but that you're over prepared." So being able to really understand your subject inside and out is critical. And the preparation gets you ready for that, because what happens is do a Q&A, and then in the Q&A, there's a question asked that you cannot answer. because you really didn't prepare. And people know fluff. People know fluff. So preparation is critical. It is very critical to the growth of your business. Number two, practice. Practice, practice, practice. Anytime I do a presentation, I don't care if I've done that presentation before, I pull the information out, look at those notes again, and I practice. And when I say practice, I'm talking about standing up front of a mirror, here audibly speaking, hearing myself out loud. I'm not talking about reading a paper inside of my head to make sure that I have it. No, I am talking about real practice, as if I am in front of the audience. And that is so critical, because every time I stand up to practice out loud, I hear something that I'm like, oh, that's not right. That's not how I need to say that. Or that made no sense when I said it that way. Now, when I wrote it, it probably made sense. When I said it out loud, that's kind of crazy. So being able to stand up, speak out loud is practice for me. And if you do that, one of the things that I learned is for every minute that you're going to speak, you need to prepare 15 minutes for that 1 minute. So if you are doing a 5-minute presentation, then you have 45 minutes that you need to prepare for that 5-minute presentation, let alone if you're doing a 30-minute, 40-minute. And so because of that equation, it helps me to know I need to spend more time speaking. Antoinette says, yes, speaking aloud is very difficult, but it's very necessary. And it is. To be able to say it out loud, you can hear yourself. Doing it in the mirror, you can see yourself, because everybody has nervous twitches. And you don't even know what your nervous twitches are. You've done them so subconsciously, you don't even know that it's a nervous twitch. And so I know one of my clients' nervous twitch was this. Every time he would speak and kind of get a little nervous, he'd rub his nose. One client's nervous twitches was hand in the pocket, shaking the pocket. It was just a nervous twitch. One of the most common nervous twitches is pacing back and forth, pacing back and forth. When you're speaking, movement should be intentional. Movement should not just be something to do just to keep me comfortable and keep me talking, because no one wants to watch a speaker like this. Okay. And they're just moving to be moving. What's the purpose of that? Moving with intention is what speakers should do. So if I'm having a conversation and I say, you know what, and then I just step back. My step back is with intention to go along with what I'm saying. Or if I just had to move over and look back, the movement is going along with the presentation. But just moving to move it shows you haven't practiced enough. So that being able to do the thing is the move with intention. Angela says this would apply to live webinars well too. Yes, practice, practice, practice. So that when you go live, it cannot be your first time going live. One of the things that I admire about Beth Midler was on the Strip in Vegas, had a show for a little over 2 years. She did the show 3 times a day. I think it was 5 or 6 days a week, quite a lot. And Beth Midler will come and practice every morning in full costume from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. And all of the people that were a part of it used to think, we do this 3 nights a week. It's been a year. We're doing this same thing. Why do we practice? Because Beth, any small change, she knew what it was going to look like before she ever got out there on that floor. And for speakers, that's mastery. That's how you get to mastery, is because you're not just doing it on a whim. You're not just doing it by accident. You're just not thinking about it as you go. You have a structure inside your head to get the people that are in front of you to be able to change, make a change or a difference, or impact their life, or to leave them different than they came. practice is very, very, very important. It pays off. It helps you with your timing. One of the things that if someone says, hey, you have 30-minute presentation, you know how many people have said they've been given a time and then they run over? Because first of all, they never practice, because if they practice, they would know how long that speech is taking. Every time I practice, I know that, oh, I got to cut that story down because it's taking me too long to get to the other. So I'm going to have to cut this out of the story and leave these pieces in there. So I know how long my presentation is going to take because I've practiced it enough. I know how long each story, each metaphor, each point is going to take because I've practiced it enough. Even at times when you get to a place where you're told you have 45 minutes to do a presentation, and this has happened, I can't tell you how many times. The program goes too long. It goes too long, and then they come to you and say, hey, instead of 45, can you cut your presentation to 20? If you've not practiced it, you will be up there all over the place. But if you know, okay, so 40 minutes, 20, I need to cut this, and this to keep the story, to keep the structure strong, the content strong, and just move some of the other pieces out. Critical. It will, if you are speaking, it will happen to you. Your speech will get cut. I was doing a presentation that was a 20-minute presentation. Guess what they came and asked me to do? 5 minutes. I was like, 5 minutes? You cutting all the juice out. So I had to figure it out. So I had to sit and think of, what do I need to do? Because in 5 minutes, I need to wow you. I need to grab you in those 5 minutes and go take my seat. And so I figured out a way to say what I needed to say and pull it out. The hardest thing to do is a short speech. 5 or 10-minute speech takes me more time to prepare because I can only have the nuggets, the good stuff in it. A 45-minute presentation, a 30-minute, a 45-minute, an hour presentation, those are easier because you have time to build up as you're going through. But under 15 minutes, you better hit it, quit it, and make an impact. If you cannot hit it and quit it and make an impact, then the only way you can do that is you practice enough to know what you need to eliminate. Okay. Number three is pacing and movement. I talked to you about this as we talked about preparing. Pacing and movement. Slowing down the speed of your speaking can emphasize key points to help you build drama. Listen, when you are speaking, you are on stage and you are acting. It is time for you to put your acting hat on. It is time for you to put your acting hat on and for you to bring that alive as you speak. And when I say pacing and movement, let me give you an example of pacing and movement. If I am saying, I had to look at the apple and think, now, how is this apple going to help me? Should I eat this apple or should I not? And so me actually I don't even have an apple in my hand, but the fact that I have that movement, it tells everybody there's an apple in her hand. That's movement. And if I say, I don't want this apple, and I throw the apple down, that's movement that ties into what I am speaking about. And it needs to be intentional. So as you are putting together your presentation, where do you move? That's stuff you have to think about if you're thinking about speaking, because to get to a 6-figure outcome, being able to hone these skills will help you get there. So where should you move? If someone says, I was like, I can't believe this happened and it scared me so much, then I will normally say, I got scared about it. The emotion of what I am saying becomes on my face. And so that's what pacing and movement is about. It's not about just movement because you're nervous. People know exactly what that movement looks like. But when you're moving for a specific phrase, for something that you say, if you say, you know, and then I walked into my boss's office. Well, when you say, and then I walked, you start moving. I walked into my boss's office. I knocked on the desk to make sure he was there. You act those things out. That's what pacing and movement is about. It should be intentional, not fidgeting, not just moving to be moving. There is intention with each step of it. Okay, so that's number 3 is pacing. Number 4 is pitch and pauses. These are, again, the 7, these are 7 areas that, for powerful presentations, these are 7 P's to a powerful presentation. So then you get into pitch and pauses. Listen, pitch is about your tone of voice, where your tone of voice is, and pauses is sometimes slowing down or just shutting up to let the pause do the work. I have heard so many times there's so much power in a pause in presentation because it allows people to stop and think about what you just said. And you're not rushing through something. So sometimes you got to know when to pause. I did a presentation in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, and I'm trying to think of what I said. Whatever I said, I stopped, and I was just quiet, and everyone is looking at me, and I was like, I just need to let that sit down into your mind. I can't talk to that and sat down, and everybody, you could literally see people thinking about what was just said. That's the power of a pause. You want them to be able to grab that. But pitching, we all hate anyone that is speaking in one monotone voice. So your voice has to fluctuate with what you're talking about. So what you can't do is say, I was really scared when when I open the door. Okay, my words and my body language are doing 2 different things. So if I am going to say I was scared, when he came in, I need to do exactly what I would do if I was telling someone that story one-on-one and not standing up in front of 500 people. You have to bring what you do to life. So being able to pitch, the volume, your tone of voice, how you vary your volume. People stay with you based on the fluctuation in your voice. If you're up there and you're just talking in your normal monotone talk, whether you're telling a story, where you're giving statistics, whether you're talking through a system, it drives people crazy. It drives them crazy. Shoshana says, how do I know if I'm speaking within my natural voice range? I think my register is lower than what I actually project. That's where you get out and you hear yourself, you tape yourself, and then you listen to yourself. Every event I did when I first started speaking, I would record myself. If no one else would, I would put my recorder on my phone next to me, and I would record myself so I could hear what my voice would sound like. Is it up? Is it down? Is it monotone? Where am I missing the mark as I am speaking and presenting in the fluctuation of my voice? When your parents read books to you and they're reading books as a kid and they'd say, and then the tiger jumped in, and then it's the exact same thing as a speaker you need to bring out. And it might sound like, oh, it's over dramatized, or you being extra, or it's dramatic. Call it what you want to call it. It impacts the audience ability to stay tuned and to listen. And so you need to focus on your pitch and your pauses. Everything can't be about speaking nonstop. Pause before any important point that you want to make. Pause, both for the emphasis and to give the audience time to understand and absorb what you're saying. That's the power of pauses. So you need to make sure that you're able to do that. Then projection. Number 5 is projection. Your audience should be able to hear you easily without feeling that you are shouting or straining or speaking loudly. Only time I've had to really enunciate and project my voice is when a mic or a speaker went out. Then I wanted to make sure the people in the back of the audience could hear me. And so then you use your outside voice, but you use your outside voice in a way where you're not just yelling, you're just projecting what you're saying with the pitches and the pauses. You're fluctuating your voice so that people can hear you and the show goes on. But what drives me crazy is when people say, when someone says, oh, hey, get a microphone. And they say, oh, I don't need a microphone. Guess what that's about? It's not about the audience. It's not about the attendees. It's about you. Because the audience, you don't know that they can hear you. You just don't want the microphone because I don't like to hold a microphone, or I feel better. That's about you. Great presenters, it's never about you. It's always about the audience and making an impact on them. So when people are like, oh, I don't need it, I can speak louder. There's a microphone. It's not about you. If I can speak loud, but I'm going to take this microphone to make sure everyone can hear what I have to say. Not just a few in the front, not just when I say, can you guys hear me back there? And they say, yeah. And then when I get comfortable, my voice goes down. Now they can't hear. Do you know what people walk away saying then? Oh my God, I heard this part, but what did she say about? Now you're remembered for the wrong thing. So it's not about you. It's about the audience. Anytime you stand up to speak, it is never about you. It is 100% always about the impact that you want to have on the people that's listening. And so to be able to project and to make sure that you are using a microphone, your audience should be able to hear you easily without feeling like you're yelling, straining, or speaking loudly. That's what, when using a mic will take all of that away. Projection is a physical skill that can be enhanced with proper breathing, because if you're going through and you're just trying to get it out, you can hear it in your breathing. It comes through your breathing. And so that is critical. So use a microphone. Please don't say, oh no, I don't want to use the microphone. It's not about you. Use a microphone. Presentations about your audience and not about your preferences. There's a big difference. So, because to be honest with you, most people don't speak with sufficient enough volume when they're presenting. We'll speak in our normal tone. And if we've not worked on pitches and pauses, then we definitely need the mic because we're not fluctuating our voice. Think about any great speaker, orator that you've ever heard. You will be able to visualize how powerful that they pause, their tone of voice, their body language tied in, the movement that they moved in what they were saying. It makes a huge difference. And then number 6 is personal. If you want to have powerful presentations, you need to be personal with your speaking. Here's one of the things that I find that really makes great speakers stand out is when you can be authentically you and share your story inside your presentation. Good, bad, ugly, hurt, things you've done wrong, things that you wish you would have known before, things that you feel bad that you did back in the day, but here's what you learned. Those things, making it personal makes a huge difference. And there's ways to make it personal. First of all, making eye contact with people. You know, there was someone has said, you know, just look out and look above the audience, and you can get your presentation out. That does not feel the same as when you're speaking to an audience and you look at an individual and have a conversation while you're speaking. You're looking at that individual and you're connecting. That one connection connects you to everybody else in the room because they feel that connection. That became personal. And so it makes a big difference when you're speaking. Now, listen, I will speak. And if I am speaking about something enough that emotions come to me, a lot of people say, well, fight your emotions. I don't fight it. I don't fight it. If the emotion came to me in that time, then I will let the emotion reveal itself. And if the emotion is a tear down my face, that's what it is. I'm not going to get up there and cry and break down. It's, okay, that's a whole nother thing. But I will let the emotion come through, even to the point of stopping, catching my breath, and people hear the little rumble in your voice from holding something that you were saying that made you a little feel a little funny. It's okay. It is 100% okay. And so making eye contact is huge. And then personal stories, making sure that you tell personal stories, and that your personal stories tie into what is being said. Making sure that your personal stories, to me, this is really critical. In every speaker class, training, workshop that I've ever attended, always talked about the power of personal stories. Always. And so making sure that you're able to tell something that relates to what's going on. If it's not a personal story, it's a story that can still engage people. But somewhere through your presentation, you have to bring yourself into the presentation. The best speakers and orators can speak about themselves. And they can speak about themselves in a way that they're really, really ready to go. Really ready to go. So let's see. So face the audience. Make sure that you're facing the audience. The one thing you don't want to do is, oh, I'm getting some emails. The one thing you don't want to do is to turn your back to the audience. I have seen people do this, and it's a nervous thing. It's a nervous thing where they turn, and once they turn, it's the back, and they're talking to. Now, it's one thing to move around and talk to different parts of the audience, but what you don't want to do is turn your back on the audience just because you're walking away. Or so you want to make sure that you face your audience, and especially when you're using PowerPoints. PowerPoints are only a guide. They should not be your end all be all. If that PowerPoint cuts off, are you stuck? I've seen people, when the PowerPoint cuts off, they call in all the technical people. So 30 minutes, everybody have to stop and wait. And that's not a good thing. I was doing a presentation at the Women Business Enterprise Council, and it was sponsored by Coke at a couple of years ago. And so I had a PowerPoint presentation, and as I was going through the presentation, going through the speaker and the speaking and the workshop, the presentation cut off. And one of the technical people in the room was like, let me figure out what's going on. And I said, okay, you figure out what's going on. We'll keep going. When you get that up, then we'll know. And I just kept moving. I kept moving. And at all of those events, you have to fill out a speaker a form at the end to really fill out a review on the speaker, the presentation. You have to complete that. The one consistent thing on that form was the PowerPoint went out, but the speaker was prepared and continued, so she knew her stuff. That is so critical, y'all. And I always have a copy of the PowerPoint printed. I don't ever just wait on electronics because they can jack you up. So I always have a copy of my PowerPoint. If it's something that I need, my PowerPoint is usually bullet points that's going to guide me to where I'm going. I use pictures because pictures help me to tell the story that I need to tell. So it's not just about having the PowerPoint, because you can tell when a speaker is using it as a crutch or when it's used to enhance the presentation. You do not want to use it as a crutch. It needs to be an enhancer. Let's see, Annette said, engaging with the audience makes them feel a part of what you are presenting. And Norma said, that is truly a craft to be practiced to excel at it. Kim said, have you ever used storytelling while speaking and was not able to get back on track? Nope, I've not been able to get back on track. You know why? I practiced that presentation enough. I know where I'm going. I know the nooks and crannies. So there are times when I'm speaking about something, I get off track and I'll say, let me get back on track. I know exactly where I need to go because I've practiced it enough. I know step by step what the 5 points, the 3 points, and for each point, what story I'm going to share or what statistics. So no, I have seen people get off track and can't get back on track. You know, the first thing it tells me, they didn't prepare. They didn't spend enough time practicing. That's all that means, because they're stuck. They don't know where to go. If you've practiced it enough, you know exactly where you need to go. And then the last part, number 7, and I'm opening up for questions. Number 7 is participation. To have a powerful presentation, you need to have participation. You need to engage your audience and keep them connected to you during that conversation. You can do this by getting the audience to be a part of your presentation. For me, this is one of the things I love to do is to make sure that I have audience participation. So you can do that a lot of different ways. You can do a demonstration and have someone come and participate in the demonstration. You can ask the audience questions and have them talk back to you. On the road, you can ask the audience to repeat after you and then they participate. You can ask questions and have the audience member answer the questions. And what's funny, I can be speaking and ask a question, and the audience will look at me and I'll say, no, that's a real question. I really want your answers. You guys, someone just share with me. Someone shout out, what is the number one thing you want to learn today? And then they'll start to participate with you. But you want to have your audience a part of the presentation and not feel like they are getting just a lecture. So that is critical. So when we talk about these 7 powerful steps to presentation, 7 powerful P's to presentation, first, we talked about preparation, and I'm going to answer these questions I see up here. We talked about preparation. We talked about the power of practice. That is critical, very critical. We talked about pacing and movement, being intentional. We talked about the pitches and the pauses. Talked about projection, projecting your voice out. And using a microphone. Never make it about you. It's always about them. We talked about making it personal, making eye contact with them, making sure that you tell personal stories. Make sure that you are facing your audience. You're looking at your audience. And then the last thing is participation. How do you engage? Personal, I said that. And then participation. How do you get your audience to be involved with you in this process? Got it? I am reading this. Yes, this is not just an easy thing to do willy-nilly. I know, but the sad thing is so many people do willy-nilly. I'm opening it up for Q&A right now. So right now, I have a couple of questions, so let me get these answered. So Quinn asked, can you please speak on monetizing speaking engagements? Great. Now, one of the things with monetizing speaking engagements is to be able to, you know, when I first started, like I said, I did a lot of speaking engagements for free. And once I learned the craft and the skill and realized that I was getting better, because my speaker fee has grown from 6 years ago to where it is now, and it continues to grow. But being able to monetize on your speaking engagement, one of the things that I found that works for me when someone say, "Hey, I have an event coming up. We'd love for you to speak." I have my assistant to create this form and this document that we send out to those people that basically says, "Hey, I'm excited about learning more about your event to be able to speak." And then it goes through and asks questions. What are your speaker fees and costs? Do you have any current sponsors? So it's asking all the questions that paid speaking engagements normally have. What I found is when people respond back, oh, I don't have any of that, it helps. And let me tell you why I know, because everybody wants to call you and everybody wants you to do everything for free. And so I was like, okay, wait a minute. And having someone in between me and the client made a big difference too. So having my assistant for follow up, hey, I got your information. I'm copying my assistant on this. She will follow back up with you. And then once she's had information and conversation, then she'll say, like, I think this is one we need to talk about, or this is one we need to find out more about. And then we set up a time to actually really talk to them. So and then we talk to them based on that letter. It is designed around the speaker engagement, because it says, you know, Becky is really interested in learning more about your presentation. Share with us some things. And then it also says, here are her speaker fees and her. So we let them know that immediately. And then from there, we know whether or not where this thing is going to go. And the ones that I want to do because it's an opportunity, then I'll do those. And but the ones that are just like, hey, we just want you to come out, then it just helps me to weed through some of the things that I need to be moving on from anyway. So Quinn, hopefully that answered your question. If not, let me know. Tanya asked, if you are a little nervous, how do you overcome it? You know what, Tanya, every time I stand up to speak, I'm nervous. Every time. It's not like, oh, I'm not nervous anymore. I still, when the first 10 minutes of every presentation I do, I'm nervous. My stomach has butterflies. They flying all over the place. Now, people always say, Becky, I would never guess that, or I can never see that. But let me tell you, it is always there for me. And after I thought about it for a while, I really don't want it to go away. I don't want it to go away because it keeps me grounded. It keeps me in the place where, you know, me having that funny feeling inside. For me, I believe it's because I really want to impact the audience so much so. And the feeling is, you know, did I prepare the right stuff to be able to make an impact? I really want to be able. So my stomach starts to do all of this stuff. And it's not until I get the first 10 minutes out that my body relaxes, where I feel my body relax and I can move on. But I am always nervous, and I don't think it's a bad thing. And I don't think it's a bad thing because I've heard Beyonce say the same thing. Every time she gets ready to go on a show, she's nervous. I've heard Oprah say the same thing. Every time we started a new show, I was nervous. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a thing that you're so committed to what you're doing, and the impact of the people means so much to you that you get that. It should move beyond nervous because I'm speaking, but nervous because of the impact that I want to make. So let's see. I'm going to answer this question. How do you handle it when an organization is honoring you, but they want you to speak too? Oh, that's a good question. It's like, you know, I be thinking that's a little slide in too. That, hey, we're going to honor you. You're going to stand up and we want you to give us a presentation or a speak. And those, I think, are done by individual situations, because there are some, I think there are some times when people honor you where I think it might not just be about you, but about what they are wanting or getting from it, compared to some that really want to honor you and then you speak after the honoring. And so with all of those, for me, I just kind of play by ear. There was one event that I was invited to, that I was being honored, and I kind of felt a little weird about the whole honoring thing. So I'm looking at the organization and the people that they honor and why they honor the people, and I just felt, I don't know, I just felt some type of way about it, where I was like, what is this really about, and why are they honoring me, and what is this about? And in those situations, like that situation, I didn't do it. I just didn't feel it. It was just something about that particular situation that made me feel a certain way, and I trust my gut, so I go with it. But you know, other situations where I have been honored in something where I'm like, okay, this is going to benefit me too. as well in the process. So I really weigh how this impacts me, my brand, what it does for me in that process, or if this is just all about impacting their brand. That's where my red flags go up, because it needs to really be a win-win. I'm all about win-win. So that hopefully that kind of helped or answered. I think those are one-offs that you have to kind of take based on the organization and what you want for your brand. If that's a representation that's good for your branding, or if it's like, this is really just about me coming to be visible for them. Monique said, do you have a template questionnaire for speaking engagements? Yes, I do. I have a template questionnaire for speaking engagements. Once we've had some conversation about the event, then I go through and the template engagement, because every presentation is customized for that particular audience. So I want to be able to really make an impact on that audience. So there are some things that I want to know about the organization, or about the leaders, or about the initiative of the company, because I want to tie that into my presentation. And so being able to ask those questions if I'm on a call with them, or send the information over, that they can share that information with me. So yes, let's see. Demetra asks, can you please share some practical tips to get started and established as a speaker? Is it necessary to write a book first to gain credibility? No, Demetra, it's not necessary to write a book. I know a lot of people say, write a book, it gives you credibility. It can add some credibility to your level of expertise. But when I first started, I didn't have a book. I wrote a presentation that was going to be the two presentations that I was going to do was my biggest thing. And for me, the goal was to be able to, my presentation needs to impact. If it doesn't impact, I won't get invited back. One of the things that you should know, if you stand in front of an audience and speak, and you don't get someone wanting you to speak somewhere else, you did something affected them. Every speaking engagement should spin off another engagement. Uh-oh, what just happened there? Cheryl!
Oh my God, are we done?
We wrap it up with questions, girl.
Somebody, thank God for Cleedra. Cleedra just tagged me on Facebook and was like, we're still on, jump on. I promise you, this has never, ever, 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 ever happened before.
And I know. I
have you on my calendar at 8 o'clock. So when I tell you I have calls from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, I have one more after you. Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
Y'all say hey to Cheryl.
I was like, so Cleedra just tagged me. Cleedra, thank you, Cleedra. And she was like, we're still on. I'm like, all right. Cleedra's in the group.
Yes.
I always show up, especially when I'm talking about speaking. Like, that's my lane.
I know. And I said, like I told them, I said, y'all, anything crazy can happen, but we gonna move on, because this is not normal that she's not on. And so so I was sending emails and stuff, but I was like, you know what, we'll figure that out later. But hey, everybody say hey, Cheryl. Can we stay longer? Can we hear from Cheryl? Please. Hey, everybody that wants to stay on, you are more than welcome to stay on. Cheryl, first of all, let me say thank you for us connecting to be able to do this. I know this is definitely your wheelhouse. If you can't see, the chats over to the side is hey Cheryl, hey Cheryl, hey Cheryl, hey Cheryl, hey Cheryl, hey Cheryl. So they are running through. They're running through right now. I kind of shared them with them 7 powerful P's to presentation, because I said you signed up for this about speaking.
Yes.
Let's talk about speaking.
Yes.
But here, this is what I think is even better. We have some questions in the queue. You can answer those questions, and in those questions, be able to tie in some of the things that you probably will already speak about too.
That sounds great, because I got a whole hour. Not that y'all gonna stay for a whole hour, but
let me pull it up and let me ask this question, and then I'm gonna let you chime in and jump.
All right.
So
Thank you, Cleedra. Thank you, Cleedra, for saying
thank you, Cleedra.
jump on.
Thank you, Cleedra. I'm glad she jumped on Facebook
because I was too busy sending apology emails. Oh my God, Becky! Like literally, you're gonna have like 12 emails in your inbox and your phone text message.
No problem, girl. No problem. So Pamela asked, if you have a disability and your voice changes because of what you do, I have a device in my chest called a pacemaker that controls my seizure activity when it comes to my voice, and it will change a little while for a little while, then it goes back to natural. How do I handle this if I'm speaking in front of an audience?
Tell them. Like seriously, just be the raw, authentic you. Just be transparent. And I'm telling you, that will go so far. And you acknowledge it up front. I want to share something with you all. And I don't share this with everybody, but I just want to give you the real me, the raw, authentic. I thought I was going to stop speaking. And here's why. Because of this device I have in my chest, blah, 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 blah. This is what it does.
It's breaking up some. There we go. I think it came back. It was breaking up.
I refuse to let the pitch change or the tone change. I would.
Hang on, Cheryl, a second, because you're breaking up and we can hear bits and pieces. Can you hear me clearly? Am I breaking up?
You're freezing a little bit.
Okay.
It looks like. Oh, now I can see you.
Okay. Okay,
guys, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay. There you go. You froze and then it just chopped up everything you said. So you said to tell them, to let them know.
Yeah. Like just use that, incorporate that as a part of your speech, and just say, here's one of the things I always say, that I can never allow my ego to become bigger than my message. So maybe you can say that and say, ego would have had me stay home today because I knew that my voice would change throughout this presentation, that my pitch might go off in a way that I didn't expect it to. But knowing that my message was important and that it's going to touch somebody's life today, I made the decision not to let my ego be bigger than my message. Is that okay with everybody? Child, they're going to love you. They're going to buy everything you got. Just
exactly. That's just going to endure me like, okay.
Yes.
You.
Yes.
Oh.
That's where our power is as speakers. Our power is in always being authentically who we are and being transparent and sharing with the audience what's going on with us, but still finding the power in that. Like that's where you get that connection, the heart-to-heart connection with people, when you can show them, I'm not just some lofty speaker on the stage and, oh, you're just the peasants in the room. Like, I'm just like you. I'm just like you. I struggle with things just like you. I struggle with fear. I struggle with whether or not I should do it. Shouldn't I do it? When you show them that, now they can see themselves in you because you're just like them. And that will create a level of engagement and endearment that will take you so much further than any speaker who just gets up there and just pretends that everything's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Demetra asked, can you go over different ways to get audience participation? One of the things that you demonstrated and questions was questions to the audience. Are there any other things that you might suggest to get audience participation? That was one of the 7 P's, is how do you get your audience engaged in your presentation?
Yeah. So number one, I think in the first 30 to 90 seconds, somewhere in that frame, you should get the audience to participate, because now it doesn't feel like a lecture. It feels like a conversation. So everybody does something different. I know some speakers who are amazing. They come in, they have a song playing, they get everybody, come on, everybody get up. I need y'all dancing. Come on now. I'm everyone. And they have that playing, right? If it's a group of women. Some people come in like me and I'm yelling out a mantra and I'm having them to repeat the mantra after me. Some people might ask a question and say, so if that's ever happened to you, raise your hand. And they will look around the room. Or they might say, if this has ever been your experience, if you've ever struggled with fear trying to hold you hostage to what you don't want, I want you to stand up. And then you might say, now look around the room. Look how many other people are standing with you. So you're not alone. So anything that gets people moving, it's kind of like that kinesthetic learner. likes to move and touch and feel. Anytime you're able to get them repeating something, high five your neighbor to the left and say, neighbor, and tell a neighbor something. Anything that gets them talking, moving, in action or in motion automatically takes it from a speech to a conversation.
Exactly. Demetra, I know that with all those different suggestions was able to help you. And then Demetra also has another question that says, can you please share some practical tips to get started in establishing as a speaker? She asked this question. I answered it. I want you to answer it too. Is it necessary to have a book to gain credibility to be a speaker?
Okay, great question. So to get started, if you say you're a speaker, please speak. Speak somewhere to somebody consistently. Like, you can't say you a speaker, you ain't spoke nowhere in 6 months. When the last time you spoke? 1999? No.
3 years ago I spoke.
Right. So I really say there are 3 ways that you can get on stage. You can either get booked for a gig, and that booking might come because you submitted a speaker proposal online, or you went and you did a Google search for call for speakers for women's empowerment conferences or business events or accounting event, whatever it is that you're looking for. So you could do that. Or you got booked because someone saw your social media postings and they were intrigued by what you offer. Maybe they saw your YouTube channel, which all of you should have, and they were impressed by what you presented on in your YouTube channel and videos. Or it could be through source of referral. Someone refers you. They heard about you, or they heard that you're a speaker and they told somebody else. So you can get booked. The second way is you can choose to invest in a speaking opportunity. So one of the things I do is I create platforms for women who want to speak, and success ain't never free. So I understand nobody gave it to me for free. I'm not giving it out for free, because you got to believe enough in you that you're willing to say, okay, I'm gonna write the check or I'm gonna stroke the credit card. And if you don't believe in you enough to do that, why are you in business? Right? So you can invest in an opportunity. So sometimes, for example, in May, I'm taking a group of women, 30 women, to Paris. Why? Because there are a lot of women who have taken speaker courses, but they never get to actually speak. They never get to be on stage. So I'm like, okay, this is a great platform. It's not going to be free. There's going to be an investment, but I'm going to create the investment for you to be able to say, I'm an international speaker, right? And then the third one, so you have your getting booked, you have your investing, and then number 3 would be create your own stage. Create your own platform. Those are the 3 top ways to get on stage and start speaking. So if nobody's booking, nobody's hiring you, nobody's selecting you for the event, you can't find anywhere to invest. Okay, create your own platform, and don't feel like you got to start with, oh, I'm gonna have this big conference and it's gonna be 300 people in the room. Could you get 20 people in the room first? Right? Can you get 20 people to say yes to stopping everything that they're doing and coming and listening and learning from you? Right. That's still a platform. Or even if you don't do something live, can you put on your own series of webinars? Can you teach people that way? We got to expand our minds to what we believe a platform is, a platform or a stage. A stage is not just you're in a big ballroom talking to thousands of people or hundreds of people. A stage or a platform is being on a webinar, being in a boot camp event where you teach 10 people in an intimate environment. It's doing a podcast. It's doing a radio show. Anything that allows you to have a voice and share a core message with the audience that wants to receive it and learn it, that's a stage. So expand your mind and create your own stages.
And Cheryl, you are so right. I especially with the booking, so many people will, want to get a book, but they don't go look for the booking. They're not looking for the conferences. They're not filling out the forms and about the conferences. That's a whole area of business that we sit on and like, okay, so I spoke and no one, but how many I can't tell you how many conferences I was booked to speak at because I filled out the speaker form. I wanted to, because it's honing the skill. It's helping you to make the skill better. It's helping to get you in front of people that you wouldn't get in front of, but that's work. But it's work that's going to open a door for you. I remember when I first started, I had like a spreadsheet of these are the conferences that I want to speak at. This is who I talk to. This is the follow-up date. This is over and over and over to be able to open up some of those doors. And sometimes those doors don't open for 2 years. Year 3, you get a phone call that now we're ready for you, but you creating that pipeline by being able to reach out. Don't just wait for someone to say, hey, I want you to speak. Where do you want to speak? Go there and make it happen for yourself. Start to build.
And that, oh my God, that's just so good and so juicy. And some people will fall out like 5 applications talking about, ain't nobody booking me. Girl, did you fill out 500?
Yeah.
Like, forget the 5. How many did you fill out in a week? Did you fill out 500? And if you filled out 500 and you didn't even get one, then come whining to me.
Yeah.
But if you ain't filled out 500, then don't even talk to me. If you filled out 5, talking about, oh, I've been trying and trying. No, that ain't trying. You got to be hungry as a speaker. You have to consistently be hungry. Even at the level that we're at, we still have to stay hungry.
Right.
We got to get out and tell people who we are and ask for the opportunities. That doesn't stop. So you have to be a hunter. Someone who is, and most women, especially, and I don't know, we probably have men here too, but most women aren't trained to be hunters.
Right.
You got to hunt, get out and hunt for what you want. If you want to eat, you better hunt.
You better go kill.
You better hunt. And here's a key for those of you who are filling out like your proposals, your speaker proposals online. Even when you submit a speaker proposal online, don't submit 1 for that event. Submit 3 for the same conference. Why? Because maybe they don't want you to speak on, how to get booked, but maybe they want you to speak on how to face your fears and press through it anyway.
Yeah.
So if you give them 3 different options, then you have a greater opportunity, a potential of getting booked. So some people just put 1 in and they sitting and they waiting and they looking at that 1 seed. Ooh, I'm waiting. You waiting. You better be filling out the other 400 applications. And get 3 or 4 for each event or each conference.
Yes. Angela said, oh my goodness. So don't wait for him to contact you. No, do not wait. Do not wait, because you could start while you're waiting. And Quinn, yes, she did come into your inner being when you started singing, talking about the people bringing you in. That, she was like, that wakes me up right there. Yes, she channeled your inner part. So Tia asks, when is the most effective time to reiterate the points during your talk?
Oh, that's good. So I do that a couple times. So first of all, I have this little rundown. I'll give you the rundown real quick. So I always say you got to open with a bang. You got to close with fireworks. And then in the middle, you got to keep them awake. You got to open with a bang. You got to close with fireworks. And in the middle, you got to keep them awake. So I usually go from whatever my opening is to wake them up. And when I call it a seed opening, SEYD, stop everything you're doing. Because when I'm on stage, I don't care if you tweeting, texting, sharing pictures with your neighbor at the back of the room, drinking water from the water fountain. I need you to stop and know that I'm in the room, and I need you to know that this is a message that you're going to want to hear. That means you have to come in strong and solid. You can't be with your shoulders shrugged. I'm not sure if I really should be up here. No. That's when you play in your power zone, right? So whatever you say or do in that first 30 to 90 seconds is going to allow the audience to determine whether or not they want to listen or whether or not they're going to check out, and they're going to check their emails during your presentation, right? Yeah. So I do my opening with a bang. Then I go into that and I go into an intention. What's my intention? Why am I here? What's my objective? Here's why I'm so excited to be speaking to you, and this because of this. And then I go straight from that into my story. And I always share my story first, because most of us, our story has a low point. And there's a rule in the speaker industry that if you take them low, you got to bring them back up. You can't leave them there. So you done told them some sad sob story. They crying and boo-hooing. You cried with them. But now you try to move on to point number 2, and they still crying.
Yeah.
So take them down. You got to bring them back up. So I tell my story kind of early on. I go from my story into my talking points. And I always give bite-sized chunks. Some of you giving too much. You're over teaching. And 2 things that does. Number 1 is it overwhelms the audience. But then number 2, they don't need to buy nothing that you offer at the end because you done told them everything. So don't over teach. So when my teaching goes like this, I state whatever the first. So point number 1 is this. And I state the point, and I typically will take a deep dive into that point. And then I'll share some type of story or metaphor or example to drive home the point. Then I repeat the point. That's for every step. So if I have 4 steps, I'm going to do that for all 4 steps. So I'm saying, so point number 1 is you have to be laser focused. Everybody got that? Right? And now I'm making sure that everybody in the room is with me, because it's your job as a speaker to manage the energy in the room and to manage whether or not everybody's following along. You don't want to be on point 2 and the person in the front row talking about what she said number 4 was. I didn't hear. Did you hear? Come on now. Like, I need to make sure everybody's in alignment and we all on the same page.
Right,
so
right.
All right. So now we're moving on to number 2. Everybody ready for number 2? You got to talk to your audience. It's a conversation. Then you go in. So point number 2 is Don't go into idea overwhelm. And then I give them a deep dive into that. And I give them an example or a story to point it, drive it home. Why? Because people don't repeat bullet points. They repeat stories.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to share some kind of story to drive home the point. So again, number 2 is, what's number 2, y'all? And you have them say it.
Mm-hmm.
So then after I get to my final point, it's point number 4. So again, I'm just for anybody who might have missed it, I'm gonna give you those 4 points one more time. Point number 1 is this. Point number 2. So now when I go through the recap, I'm not doing every point, every detail, the deep dive. I'm just giving you the point. So then number 1 is this, number 2, number 3, and number 4. And then I'm going into my closing with fireworks.
Yeah. And that's what we talked about earlier. Everything that she just shared helps her presentation to be remembered and repeated. Someone else is going to remember. Remember, she talked about, and that because they've heard it consistently, they can repeat it and they'll remember it. And that's exactly what that process is that she's doing, is to help that to sink down into their head. So they walk away and it's like, she was good. I forgot what she talked about. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Yes, exactly. So you want them to be able to be able to repeat some of the things that you said. I think, Cheryl, one of the greatest feelings is you spoke at a conference, you're walking through a conference, and you hear someone saying what you just said, and you're like, did they just... you said it yesterday and they're still repeating what they heard yesterday. It stuck with them. Annette has a question. She says, do you recommend joining groups such as Toastmasters?
Okay, so Toastmasters wasn't my journey, but I recommend that for anybody who perhaps you're starting out and maybe you need to increase your confidence. Maybe you need to increase just your skill set, your mastery of speaking. I think it's a great place to go. It's a great place to practice, to connect with other speakers. Everybody's journey is different, right? So I didn't do Toastmasters, but I know some amazing folks who have done Toastmasters and who are soaring as speakers. So find out what you need, what's going to fuel you and fill you, and do that thing.
Yeah. And I think I agree, Cheryl, especially with Toastmasters. I started Toastmasters like 3 different times, 3 different Toastmaster groups. I never finished any of them through because it just wasn't my wheelhouse, because Toastmasters to me felt a little slower. So I had to do some things. I did some things different, but I'm with you. I've seen some people do some Toastmaster presentation. I'm like, dang! Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it is. If you're looking to improve your skill, try it. I mean, try Toastmasters and see what you think. And then, if it works, stick with it. Tia asked a question. What is a powerful way to close a talk?
So again, I go right back to almost your opening. Your opening your closing can mimic your opening. So if I open up with this powerful mantra, so sometimes I have these, oh, this is not it. I never have what I need when I really want it. I got all kinds of things, y'all. I got pom-poms. I might take pom-poms with me, and I might close out and talk about cheering for your own success. Or I have these medals. This is not the exact medal, but it's medals just like this. And on the end, it has this big circle and it says winner. And a lot of times I'll come in and I'll have everybody stand up and repeat after me. I'm a winner. I think like a winner. I act like a winner. I walk like a winner. I talk like a winner. Winning is in my DNA, blah, 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 right? Whatever my mantra is. I might close out the exact same way because it gets people back energized the way they were in the beginning. People are always going to remember how you made them feel in the beginning and how you made them feel in the end. They might forget some of the stuff in the middle. I have to go back to their notes and refer to it, but they will not forget how you made them feel. So it's important that your closing give them a powerful feeling of what they experienced throughout your entire presentation. So whether it's a short story or whether it's a mantra or whether it's getting them dancing again, are we going to go back out? Come on, reaffirm for yourself. And maybe you're stating words as they're dancing. You get to choose what that looks like. But I recommend that you go out on a high level. So if I close out with the same thing, similar to what I open, I always go with the concept of my mama always taught me that you got to finish strong just like you start strong. So come on, y'all. I need y'all back on your feet. Let's finish strong. Repeat after me. I am a winner. And now I'm doing the same. So my open and close is exactly the same, but it's just I'm reminding them of the energy that we started with, because I want them to leave the room with that same energy.
Right. You know, Cheryl, this is a perfect time. We went through the questions that were in the queue. So share with the group just some of your, you know, to speak your way to a six-figure business. And one of the questions too that was asked earlier, I think it would be great for you to answer too, was about booking speaking engagements, how to get, you know, when people want you to come and speak, what is the process of booking to where it's speaking paid as opposed to all of the free ones. So you can share that, but then I also want you to just kind of share an overview of what it takes to get to a six-figure business.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the biggest mistake that I see so many speakers make is they assume that if a company or a corporation doesn't pay them, that they can't get paid. So I want you to just write down for yourself somewhere, every speaking engagement is a paid speaking engagement if I am intentional and strategic. Every speaking engagement is a paid speaking engagement if I am intentional and strategic. So some of y'all are saying no too quick to opportunities, and some of y'all are saying yes too quick before you ask the right questions. If a company calls me, my speaker's fee is $10,000 to come and speak for a keynote, right? Which a keynote typically is somewhere between 30 minutes to 60 minutes. I don't get paid 10 grand for every single speaking engagement I do. Let's just be real honest. Some people might lie and tell you they do. I ain't gonna lie. No lies tonight, right? We're gonna tell you the truth. So for me, let's say a company calls me and says, Miss Wood, we want to book you, but we don't have 10 grand. You know, we only have five grand, right? Now it's my job to ask the right questions, because what I want to do is I need them to know that regardless of whether you pay me the 10 grand or not, I'm going to deliver $10,000 worth of value. Mm-hmm. So I need you to understand that, which is why you need to make sure that you have your speaker's fee set and that you consistently state it. Whether they book you at that rate or not, you need to say it.
Right.
And some of you can't say it because you ain't practiced it. How you going to say it if you ain't never said out loud? You ain't never practiced out loud. So whatever your fee is, set the fee. And for the next 3 weeks, walk around the house talking about my speaker fee is, my speaker fee is, my speaker fee is, and whatever that number is, so that when you finally are on a phone call with a decision maker and they ask you what's your speaker fee, you're not fumbling and bumbling and stumbling over it. You can clearly articulate it and confidently because you've practiced it. Mm-hmm. I just got off a phone call with Verizon. They're about to book me for a gig. I've been there 3 times already. They're booking me but I had to have a call with the decision maker about my fee. You can't be shy about that, which means you have to practice it, right? So let's say somebody says, well, I can only pay you 5, I can't pay you 10. I'm not automatically saying, well, no, you can't afford me then. And some of y'all are getting ego real too quick because you spoke at 2 events. Now you got an ego and everybody got to pay you your full speaker fee, or you ain't going. Okay, you're going to be broke. You're going to be broken.
Right. You don't
you want to start asking questions about who's going to be in the audience. Okay, what is the opportunity for me to be able to generate the additional $5,000? And there's a couple ways you can do that. Mm-hmm. You can ask them, what is the price point of the ticket if it's a ticket-based event, right? So let's say it's right now they're charging $100 for the tickets. Okay, well, if you're expecting 100 people, and can you charge an additional $5 per person or $10 or $20 per person, whatever the numbers look like, to make up my additional $5,000? Is that a possibility? Mm-hmm. Okay, maybe that is a possibility, but you got to be willing to negotiate that. Mm-hmm. Or you might want to ask, well, who's going to be in the audience? Tell me more about the demographic of the audience. If you tell me that you're putting me in front of an audience of new and emerging speakers, and I can sell my package from the stage, I'm taking that $5,000.
You're right.
Because I
know what I'm going to sell.
I already know I'm going to sell, and I'm going to clear out the room, and I know I can generate another $5,000 out of the room. Yeah. Even if, and you guys, let's do the numbers. Most speakers will sell about 10 to 20% of the room, close 10 to 20% of the room. So even if, let's say there's 100 people in the room, and you only close 10%, I always have my calculator right here because I like to do numbers. And that means you only 10 people say yes to a $500 package that you offer. Guys, that's $5,000. 100 people in the room, only 10 people say yes to what you sell from the stage. It's a $500 package. You just generated $5,000. For what? For speaking on stage for 60 minutes? You're not doing brain surgery. You're not doing heart surgery. You're speaking. So sometimes we just got to kind of bring ourselves back down to earth about this thing. Yes, we're speaking life into people, but don't make it such a big thing that somebody can't stroke you a check for your full speaker fee. Make it work. Find a way to make it work. Which means you gotta have
I think a problem is too, Cheryl, is people focus on that speaker fee so much because they don't have anything to offer.
Anything else to sell. Right. That's it. You ain't got nothing else to sell. Everything that you know is still up here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well,
yeah. If everything that you know is still up here, you got a problem. You got to get it out of here and put it into formats that other people can learn that, right? You got to have programs. You got to have packages. And guys, it can be something so simple. Yeah. You could do a 2-part master class where you train people and do a video session like this. You could do a 4-week or a 6-week course where you divvy up what you know into 6 weeks, 6 training modules, and you charge somebody $4.99 for 6 weeks of training with you. Like, start where you are. Don't make it so difficult. You got to just get the knowledge out of here and put it into a format that you can teach people. That teaching could be through, it could be through a webinar, it could be through a master class, it could be through a live boot camp event. Hey, I'm looking for 10 people who want to know what I know about this thing. And it's going to cost you $4.99. And you're going to be in the room with me for the whole day for 8 hours a day. 10 people at $500 is $5,000. Now you just generated $5,000 from an 8-hour day, and you know you're going to take lunch. So from a 7-hour day. So I think the key to success as a speaker is not putting all of your eggs in one basket, in just the basket of speaking. Oh, I'm going to generate 6 figures or 7 figures just from speaking on stage. No. What else do you have? Can you host VIP days with clients? Can you do individual coaching? Can you do group coaching? Can you do boot camp events? Can you do a webinar series where you sell to people? Can you do retreats? Can you do mastermind sessions? Like all it is taking what you know and formulating it into different packages to meet people where they are. Right. If you're a person who trains, can you create some type of expert mastery program where the person is trained directly by you and gets to shadow you? Like, you just got to be creative, and you have to be willing to do the work and get your knowledge out of here and literally into the hands of other people. Okay. So I think that's important. And then what else was the other question?
No, girl, that was good. Just the speaking, the ways, that's what it was. Some of the things specifically to get to a 6-figure business, what are some of the things that you want, that you share with people to make sure that they have in place to get there?
Yeah, I think, again, just know the numbers. So if you're talking about crossing 6 figures, you're just talking about generating, what, $100,000, right? That's the bare minimum cost to cross 6 figures. Well, what does that look like monthly? That means you got to generate $8,333.33 a month, right? If it's $1 million, it's $83,333.33. So just look at everything that you have. I tell every client I work with to create a revenue projection chart. So your revenue projection chart would have a few columns. Your first column would be whatever the item is that you sell. The second column would be what the cost of it is. The next column would be the quantity that you want to sell. And then your final column is your total. So you got your item, what the cost is, how many you want to sell, and the total. And that's how you break down how you're going to get to your 8333 every single month. So I might say, okay, so I'm going to speak, and my speaker's fee is, it wasn't $10,000 when I started. So maybe my speaker's fee is $2,000. So now my goal might be, I want to close 2 speaking engagements at $2,000 for the month. So now I'm at $4,000. Now I have another $4,333 to make up. All right. How else am I going to generate that? And then you break down everything that you have. Okay. I have a boot camp event. And my boot camp event, I want to fill it with 10 people who are each going to invest $500. So now I'm at $5,000 plus that $4,000 from the 2 speaking engagements. I'm over my projection. I'm over my projection. So first you got to have a projection. Then you got to know how you're going to attempt to meet the projection. But then you want to have backups in case something falls through. Yeah. So if I don't get the 2 speaking engagements at $2,000 each, what else am I going to do to generate that $4,000? That's why you got to list every single thing that you sell. Okay, well, what else do I sell? You know what? I have a 4-week program. That 4-week program is $9.99. All right, if I get 10 people to invest in my $9.99, that's $9,990. Even if I only get half, let's break that in half. If I don't get the 10, if I get 5 people, that's $49.95. on top of that $5,000 I generated, I'm at $99.95. You have to have, look, all of you should have 6, 7 streams of revenue.
Right.
That are always moving. Never have any just one thing. I train with Lisa Nichols, and I know all of you on here know who Lisa Nichols is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lisa Nichols doesn't put all of her eggs in one basket. There are many speaking engagements that she doesn't get paid for from the company, but she's able to generate multi-millions of dollars because she has other things to offer. How many things do you have to offer? How many things have you created? And people can't buy what you don't offer.
Exactly.
Some of you I think getting fed because you ain't offering it.
The main thing that you said is what is critical and key to that. Everything that you talked about was from having the projection, having the missing piece that with so many businesses, because that's not just in speaking, people have it in their business, period. It's like, okay, if I get this client, I made this money. But when you ask the question, okay, so what do you want to do for 2019? And they say, okay, I want to do 6 figures in 2019. And then the next question is, how much different is that from what you did in 18? And they say, I don't know, because you don't know where it came from. Oh, I want to grow my speaking. Well, how many speaking engagements did you do last year? Probably about, no, that probably means you are not doing your numbers. You have no idea what's going on in your business. Is hit or miss. That's why people struggle to hit 6 figures, because you don't have a map and a plan and a strategy to get there. You're just going at, okay, well, I got here this month, but it's going to get you stuck. You're going to hit a ceiling. You cannot crack that ceiling unless you have a strategy and a plan. And my retail background, 20 years of retail background, I didn't know any difference. And I didn't know any difference when I started my business. I realized later that I was doing something that 90% of entrepreneurs wasn't doing. Was everything had to have a strategy, had to have a plan, had to have projections. And if I didn't meet those numbers for the month, we never could say, it could never be, okay, Becky, you were supposed to do $100,000 and you only did 90. So we'll let that 10 go. It was that 10 goes on to next month, because you got to make that up for the, we don't do that as business owners. We're just like, okay, if I hit it, I hit it. But the strategy, the projection plan, being able to map out the numbers, knowing how many of these I need this month, and how many speaking engagements, how many books I need to sell, how many masterminds I need to sell each month, is how you get to the gold mine. If you don't know that, you're just shooting darts.
And you always as a speaker or business owner, you have to always be asking, so what's next? So what's next? So after someone does this, like, you should never have a client who's a one and done. After they hear me speak, so what's next?
Yes.
Where do I want to move them to? Or if someone comes in on an entry level, like, I'm going to tell you one of the biggest lessons I learned, which shifted my money game. I got to a place where I was credible, I was reputable, I was getting booked by these big organizations, the, Department of Defense, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the United Nations, blah, 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 law firms, right? And I let somebody else convince me that I should just make the big money, right? So I had packages where people were investing $25,000 with me to coach with me, 30 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. And I was leaving all of the little money on the table. Mm-hmm. So if I can't share nothing else for you tonight, don't leave the little money on the table, because the little money adds up. Imagine if you have a membership program, just a basic, I'm going to jump on a call once a month. How many of you know Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher? Eric has the Breathe University. Eric has a membership. It's $30 a month. And once a week or whatever on Sunday, he jump on. It ain't even video. It's just a call. But every month you get that call, and it's $30 a month. Y'all, if he has 1,000 people paying $30 a month, that's 30 grand per month. Okay, maybe you say I don't have 1,000 people. Well, could you get 100? Can you get 100 people paying $30 a month? That's $3,000 of additional revenue in your revenue stream for the month. You add that 3,000 onto whatever you made from speaking, on whatever you added onto your boot camp event, onto however many books you sold, that's how you get to those numbers. It's consistently having things that you can offer in the marketplace that people want, and meeting people where they are. Yeah. Everybody wasn't going to invest in a $30,000 program with me. Right. So do I have a $30 program that they can invest in? So always looking at what's my funnel, what's next. So if someone comes in on a $7 ebook, what happens next? Where do I lead them to next? Well, maybe they go from the $7 ebook to a $67 something. And then maybe they go from that and they love that and I blow them away. And then they come and they invest in my $127 boot camp. And maybe they go from that and then they become a private client. Whatever it is, you got to have a funnel and ask yourself, so what's next?
Yes. Tia asked a question. She said, how do I optimize as a speaker when there's a speaker panel? I love this question. In the areas of money and impact. So how do I optimize as a speaker when I'm on a speaker panel? You can tell.
Okay. So when you're on a speaker panel, most people don't allot enough time for a panel. That's number one. And they got like 12 people on the panel and they got 40 minutes for the panel. So first, it's important that you speak in sound bites. When you're speaking on a panel, stop trying to give a dissertation. Stop trying to give a long, drawn-out answer. Give sound bites that people can repeat easily and quickly, that they can tweet and post easily and quickly, because that's going to continue the cycle of what you said, right? People are looking for sound bites, nuggets, something where you can give them something powerful, make them really think, put them in deep thought, and then move on. The second thing is, most times you're not allowed to sell from a panel, because who's going to stop and like, okay, so I want to offer everybody. That's usually not allowed.
Right.
But what you can do is you can leverage text message marketing. And you can say, hey, well, you can give your answer. All right. So my answer is, every person, if you want to cross six figures, you really need to be invested. You need to be making sure that you're incorporating speaking as a part of your business. In fact, that's one of the things that I share with my clients. I teach them 10 ways to be able to speak and share their voice in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, I have this free ebook. If anybody wants it, you can just text the word speak to 313131. But it's so important. And you see how I go right back into my sentence? It's not like I stopped, pause. So everybody pull out your phones. I want you to pull out, because that might be against the rules for that event. You don't want to just make it seem like it's all about you. But if you can flow and incorporate some type of gift that they can get, where now they get a free gift from you and they get into a part of your VIP mailing list, which you need to make sure your terminology says that. So if you send speak to 313131, hey, you're going to get a bing. Thank you so much for wanting to sign up for Cheryl's free gift. They go there, they fill out the information, and they get a response. Hey, we are including you in our VIP list. And by the way, here is your free gift from Cheryl. So that I'm not just dumping people into my list without them knowing. But I think it's just being intentional, speaking in sound bites, and also having that text message marketing.
Yeah, I agree. I think sound bites are critical for a panel, because you have a short amount of time. And if you speak in sound bites, you impact people quicker. And you can always tell the people who know what their sound bites are and how to answer, because they stand out on that panel more than those that, well, now see what happened. Now, the first thing, and you're like, oh, Jesus. And if the moderator is not really good at moderating, they let them go on. And then it's just like, okay, my time at the speak has not come yet. So you have to really be able to make an impact on the people right away. I think there's one more question. Let me see.
And most people just don't talk too long. Like, as speakers, you got to know how to get to the point. Get to the point. Like, I don't need a dissertation. Tell me what you're trying to tell me.
Exactly. I don't need to hear the whole story. I don't need to hear the backdrop. I don't need to hear, hit me real quick and let me say, oh, that was good. I'm writing. It was so good. Awesome sauce. Okay. I think I went through. Okay. That was the only question that was left was, do you have an example of a revenue projection chart? Someone asked, what is that? That might be in her program for you to get that. You might can get that in her program with that. But Cheryl, tell everybody how they can make sure that they connect with you, how they can learn about your speaking program and what you have coming up. So share all your information so they can connect.
Okay. Before I do that real quick, I want to give you guys, because I have to give you this, the 8 pillars of speaker success. Like, this is going to be your core. Y'all ready? Come on, type fast, write fast. Number 1, mastery. Number 2, clarity. Number 3, visibility. 4, consistency. 5, authenticity. 6, transparency. 7, credibility. And 8, profitability. You guys, you can't succeed as a speaker without any of those. Mastery, clarity, visibility, consistency, authenticity, transparency, credibility, and profitability. So for your mastery, ask yourself, am I an ongoing student of my craft? Am I staying abreast of the recent trends, technology? When was the last time I invested in myself? Because you're not investing in the coach, you're investing in you. When was the last time I signed up for a course or a program that could teach me, that could allow me to really, truly master? It takes thousands of hours to really master any skill set. And then you move to your clarity. Am I clear about who I serve? Am I clear about my target audience? Am I clear about my experience, my expertise, who I can best serve in the world? Because some of you are trying to serve everybody. You can't serve everybody. Number one, you don't have the capacity to serve everybody. Number two, you don't have the experience and the expertise to serve everybody. Know who you serve best and what your lane of brilliance is. Be clear about that so that you can dominate in the speaker industry. Not dabble, not, oh, I'm good, she mediocre. Dominate, right? Number three, visibility. Like, you can't just stay behind your laptop and think everybody's going to know who you are. You got to get out. You got to speak. Write this down. Visibility will always trump ability. Always. Visibility will always trump ability. It don't matter how able you are, how good you think you are. If nobody knows it, guess what? You will be a best kept secret. So are you staying current? Are you staying visible? Are you educating and informing? It's amazing how many people call themselves an expert, but you ain't giving nobody expert advice. Come on now. Number four, consistency. Like, do you keep showing up? How often are you speaking? How often are you doing the social media posts? How often are you doing Facebook Live? How often are you jumping on sessions like this? Or are you hosting your own sessions? How often are you hosting live events so that people can come and experience who you are and what you bring into the marketplace? Number five, authenticity. That means just be you. Stop trying to walk like, talk like, look like, sound like any other speaker. Your brilliance and your power is in just being you. I'm a little goofy. I'm a little silly. I got a whole lot of different, I think I'm funny. So I try to be funny, right? I'm passionate. I'm going to make faces when I speak. That's just who I am. And I don't care if I'm speaking in front of entrepreneurs or if I'm speaking in front of Fortune 500 company senior level managers. It doesn't matter. You're always going to get the authentic Cheryl. If not, don't book me. Mm-hmm. So if you book me, you will get Cheryl. You're not getting nobody else. And I'm not trying to sound like anybody else. All right. Transparency. Transparency means, look, don't just share your success, share your mess. Mm-hmm. Are you transparent enough to say, here's where I am today, but let me tell you where I came from. Let me tell you what I've been through. Let me tell you what I had to do to get here. Because what I know is that your success, right? That's beautiful. But your story and your mess, that is your connector. Mm-hmm. Your mess that you went through, the struggle is your connector. Your success is your credibility. That becomes a part of your credibility to say, okay, I can show you how to go from where you are to where you want to be. That leads to number seven, which is credibility. Do you have proof in the pudding? Whatever you're saying you can teach me, has it worked for you? Mm-hmm. Like, I can't stand people who tell me they're going to make me a millionaire, but you ain't never hit millions. You're going to tell me how to make six figures, but you ain't never make it. Right. You're going to tell me how to globally, but you ain't never speak globally. Speak about what you know. That will make you credible quicker than anything else that you try to make up. And then profitability. Profitability is what it is. You got to sell something. You got to take your knowledge out of your head and put it into a platform that people can purchase. So I had to share those 8 pillars. I hope that
those are good 8 pillars. All right.
Good. How do you stay in touch with me? Connect with me at Cheryl Empowers all across social media. Look, I'm so excited about everything God is doing in my life. You're talking about a girl who grew up in poverty, you guys. I grew up in an inner city of Baltimore, Maryland, in a housing project called Lafayette Projects. You ain't got to know what Lafayette is, but you know what the projects is. And I came out and I literally saw the worst parts of life all growing up until I was 18. I went straight from that environment of poverty, straight from high school into the workforce because I was from a space of surviving and I wanted to get my mother and myself out of the hood. So I didn't go to college. I didn't go for 4 years of higher learning and self-discovery. Now, I'm not saying that to boast on it. I'm saying that to say God will take whatever you have and he will bless that thing. But some of you are focusing too much on being qualified when you need to focus on the fact that you've been called. What is your truth? What is your story? What's the thing that God is saying? I need you to share that message so that you can bless somebody else and let them know there's hope and let them know there's another side to whatever they're going through. So I don't ever diminish the fact that, yeah, I grew up in the hood and no, I don't have a piece of paper that so many people depend on to think I'm good enough. I already know it. And when you stop looking for other people to validate that you're good enough, that's when you walk in your lane of brilliance with your head up and focused and forward. So just stay focused on who you are. Just stay focused on what you have. Focus more on what you have than what you're lacking. I'm a girl who grew up and literally once I got out of high school, went to the workforce, grew my way up, y'all, inch by inch, from a receptionist to a little administrative assistant. Then I was an administrative specialist. I was doing big things. And then I grew and I ended up getting a job as a legal secretary. So for 15 years, I worked as a legal secretary in corporate America. So you're talking about a girl who up until 2011, that's not that long ago, was still going and punching the time clock in corporate America, building somebody else's dream. I was like, how am I ever going to cross 6 figures? Guys, I've crossed 7 figures now. So if you believe it, there's that quote, if you believe it, you can achieve it. If you want to focus and get back up, guys, and oh my God, get knocked down and then get back up again and get knocked down and get back up again and get knocked down and get back up again. Like seriously, that could bring me to tears. How many times I got knocked down? How many times people I thought would open doors for me didn't open the doors for me? How many people I thought would support me didn't support me? How many people looked at me who were already where I wanted to be and felt threatened by my light? Like, come on, I could do some preaching up in here, but I won't. So all I know is whatever it is that is your core message that's pulling at you in your heart, do it. Somebody's waiting on it. I believe with 7-point-something billion people in the world, there is enough for you. Some of you need to get out of your own zip code, get out of your own backyard. Some of y'all need to hashtag get on an airplane, hashtag get on an airplane and go somewhere else because somebody's waiting for you. Less than 60 days ago, I was in South Africa, pouring into the lives of young girls in South Africa. Me, the girl from the hood. And God will take your mess and he will turn it into a message. Speaking now in all parts of the world. Last year, speaking in India, I'm prepping to speak in Paris. Like, come on. Like, so there's no excuses. When you decide, and I'll end with this quote, Tony Robbins says a real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken a new action. And if there is no new action, you have not truly decided. Have you decided that this is what you want to do? And do your actions demonstrate that this is what you want? Do you know that the core message that's lying within you, that everything you've been through, it was not for you? Like it was about you, but it ain't for you. Your story is about you, but it ain't for you. And the moment you take yourself out of the equation, you will start sharing your voice as often as possible with as many people as possible. You will take yourself out of just the numbers of the business and you will put yourself into the purpose of the business and into the purpose of your message and your story. Then the money will start chasing you and you won't be able to run from it. I promise you, from a girl from the hood who went from nothing to millions. So Cheryl empowers.
It happens, Cheryl, because you're, like you said, with the knockdown and continuing to get up, because there's a scripture in the Bible that says, you know, a just man falls 7 times, but he get up eight times. It's with each one of those steps to get you to the place that you are today. Because a lot of people, when they fall down, they just stay down, or they come up with 100 different reasons and 100 different excuses. But I believe the difference between successful people and non-successful people is successful people take an action, and even when they get knocked down, they just say, okay, well, I'm supposed to learn something from that. Doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt when you get knocked down, or it doesn't affect you when you get knocked down, but you just don't let the being knocked down stop you. That's what keeps you moving forward and keeps you moving and propelling, because the mission is now so much more important than anything else that you do, and it continues to reveal itself and show itself to you. That's why God keeps opening doors. Who much is given, much is required. He ain't giving you nothing if you ain't doing nothing with what he giving you.
Right. And if you ain't got nothing, look, if you ain't been through nothing, how you gonna tell me something? If you ain't been through nothing and you ain't been knocked down and had your knees scraped up and you've been bleeding and trying to bandage it up and keep, how you gonna tell me anything? How you gonna serve the people who are waiting for you and share with them how they can get out of their mess if you ain't been through a mess? So you gotta be dragged, dragged. That ain't a real word, but I got a public school education. How you gonna be dragged through the mud? We're gonna go with that. Dragged through the mud, and then you gotta go through the mud. You gotta go through the valleys so that you can have a on the other side of that. And I'm telling you, there's so many stories I could share about moments and times when I felt like I was at rock bottom on this journey and I wanted to give up, but I was just like, I already know how to do that over there. Some of you there's something called that over there. You already know how to do that because you've been doing that your whole life. You've been playing safe. You've been building somebody else's dream. You've been, I start, then I stop, then I start, then I stop. So it's that over there. You already know how to do. I already knew how to go to somebody else's job and get a paycheck every 2 weeks and wait for the next paycheck. I already knew that I had to, if I wanted to take a day off because my kid was sick, I had to put in a form to say, can I take the day off and ask somebody's permission. I didn't want that life anymore. I wanted freedom. time freedom, financial freedom, and creative freedom. And nobody was going to give that to me. I was going to have to declare it for myself. There's a quote that says, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you demand. What are y'all demanding in this world? Show up. I show up to stuff to speak to other people like, oh, you went to that? Yep. It was only 3 people in the room. Yep.
Exactly.
Guess what? Them 3 they got the mic dropped on them. All 3 people. You never know who's in the room.
Right.
I've been in a room with 10 people. The person told me it's going to be 100 people there. And I still go with the same energy for the 10 as I would have for the 100. And then I end up, somebody was in the room out of that 10 who had a senior level position at a senior level company who could pay me my $10,000. Come on now.
Yeah.
Like stop setting yourself up for failure because you saying no, because you prayed to God for what you wanted. And then he gave it to you, dropped it in your lap, but it ain't look the way you thought it should look.
Right.
Like the exterior ain't look it wrapped in the package that you thought it should look at. So you said no to it. Now you just passed up on your blessing. So
and if you don't deliver it with excellence because it ain't, I'm used to this crowd or that crowd. And so you have do it. And now you just missed a blessing all the way around because now you don't get that other 10 grand because you don't know who's in the room. You have no idea what's going on. Girl, Cheryl, we'll sit and talk all night, girl. Tell them what you got going on. Tell them how they get
I got a 9 o'clock call. I got one. Y'all just connect with me. Cheryl Empowers on Instagram. Cheryl Empowers. Somebody can type that in the feed. That would be great. At Cheryl Empowers. CHERYLEMPOWERS. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. And you'll just see some of the amazing events I have coming up and some of the initiatives. I do book projects where I allow women to share their stories. I offer platforms for women to speak. There is an investment because success ain't never free. Let's make sure we remind people of that. Stop expecting people to give you something for free. You sitting and waiting for somebody to give you something for free. No, invest in what you want. Thank you so much, Cheryl Empowers. And I just look forward to connecting with you guys. I'm full of information that I just give out. Yeah.
Thank you guys for
staying with us.
Girl.
That was an hour.
I know it. We hit it, quit it, got the information out there. I appreciate you. I thank you so much. I'll be back in touch with you because I got some other things that I think we need to do together. So I'll be in touch with you. I appreciate you more than you know. And everybody, thank you so much for hanging in here with us. I will definitely send the replay out for those who got on late or missed some of it. So it'll be coming out. Thanks, Cheryl. You have a good evening. Head on to your next one.
For sticking with us.
Bye, guys.